Om. Om. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya-madhyamam Asmadacharya-paryantam Vande Guru-paramparam. Ramo Rajamanis Sada Vijayate Ramam Ramesham Bhaje Ramena Bihata Nishacharachamu Ramaya Tasmai Namaha. रामान्नास्ति परायणं परतरं रामस्य दासोऽस्म्यहं रामे चित्तलयः सदा भवतु मे भो राम मामुद्धर समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम् ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। ॐ श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरवे नमः। 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 सिक्स्थ मंत्र। यत्तदद्रेश्यम् अग्राह्यम् अगोत्रम् अवर्णम् अचक्षुश्रोत्रम् तदपाणिपादम् नित्यं विभुं सर्वगतं सुसूक्ष्मम् तदव्ययम् यद्भूतयोनिम् परिपश्यन्ति धीराः। When we start our spiritual journey and we start listening to Vedanta, we come to Vedanta. First thing what Vedanta does is defines what is bondage for us. We might have our own ideas of bondage. Bondage might be related with some situation, some person, some experience. Vedanta brings us to this point that bondage is due to ignorance. The avidya which is there, not knowing my own true nature, not knowing myself as pure consciousness, I end up identifying with some conditionings other than me. Now, this is our starting point. Keeping this as the goal, Vedanta will start giving us solutions from wherever we are. So the first solution given to us to prepare for this goal, what is the goal? To remove avidya. If ignorance is bondage, then liberation is removing of that ignorance. Removal of this ignorance itself is liberation. Getting this clarity that I am not a jiva, not this embodied being, not this body, not even this mind. I am the one who is unconditioned by all these conditionings, untouched by all these conditionings. To get this clarity is our goal. So they will start with karma yoga. Then they will give some more subtler sadhanas. Mantra japa mama dhruda viswasa, panchama bhajanasu beda prakasa. Fifth, Navada Bhakti, fifth step is japa. Until then are preliminary steps. First is to go and start doing satsang. Then get some more taste in satsang. Do seva. So Vedanta has a very well set path. We finish one or we start walking on one. We start seeing the results of that, graduate to the next one. And as we go further, the sadhana becomes subtler and subtler. Like this, different sadhanas are given. With these sadhanas, when that sadhaka does shravanam, with these sadhanas, having purified the mind, when the sadhaka does shravanam, in that sadhaka, a very unique type of vritti rises. That vritti is called as Brahmakara Vritti. In Vedanta Sara we saw Adhikarinam Udeti. Akhandakara Chitta Vrittihi Adhikarinam Udeti. Adhikarina means what? One who has started his journey from Karma Yoga. One who is having a disciplined life. One who is trying to live a life of values. Trying to see this creation in a divine way. Trying to see each person in a very divine way. That person is an adhikari. In that adhikari, what result did he get? That what he heard as Mahavakya, Tat Tvam Asi, translated it for him as Brahmakara Vritti. Mahavakya was Upadesha. Upadesha many people get. But not every Upadesha translates as first person. So for that adhikari, because of God's grace, Mat Prasadat, Bhagavan says, with his grace, that Mahavakya will start opening up as first person. Now, what will that Mahavakya do? Mahavakya is right now in present in him as Brahmakara Vritti. What will that Brahmakara Vritti do? First of all, it will turn his attention away from the world. Because he is a seeker of truth, he is seeker of Atma. He is not only paying attention to word, but he is also paying attention to what that word is pointing to. What that word is pointing to. So when it says adreshyam, adreshyam means that which is not an object. So from whatever objects are there in front of him, whatever thoughts of objects are there, from that he is able to pull his mind back. This is his inner strength, spiritual stamina. Having pulled the mind back from other Vishayas, that Brahmakara Vritti makes Brahma as Vishaya. Brahmakara Vritti makes Brahma as Vishaya. Now the question will become, we just saw until now that Brahma can never be Vishaya. How did Brahmakara Vritti make Brahma as Vishaya? In Vedanta Sara we had seen this point. Making Brahma as Vishaya means turning attention towards Brahma. Being aware of its presence, that itself is making Brahma as Vishaya. while transactions are going on, while other thoughts are going on, Brahma is still present. But we feel as though it is absent because our attention is not there. So this Brahmakara Vritti is to shift attention to Brahma in a very single pointed way. That is why the definition of Dhyanam is holding on to one Brahmakara Vritti, one indicator of Brahma, and not allowing other thoughts to interfere. One single thought, holding on to it, which is Lakshana of Brahma, that itself is Dhyanam. So is able to shift attention away from the world and then just entertain this thought of Brahmakara Vritti. Think about Lakshana of Brahma. That itself is making Brahma as Vishaya. But when he does that, what he finds is it is not Vritti illumining Brahma, but Brahma illumining Vritti. There is only one thing in this whole universe, you say, which is Swayam Prakasha, which has sentiency of its own. That is consciousness. So when he tries to make Brahma as Vishaya, what that Vritti realizes is, I am not looking at Brahma. Brahma is looking at Vritti. Just like all Vrittis are illumined by Chaitanya, this Brahmakara Vritti also is illumined by Chaitanya. Brahmakara Vritti is also illumined by Chaitanya. Just like all Vrittis are Mithya. What about Brahmakara Vritti? It is also Mithya. All these points are from Vedanta Sara. The moment cause is removed, all effects are removed. What is the cause? Cause was ignorance. I was thinking I am this person. I am the one who has to do Shravanam. I am the one who has to get Brahmakara Vritti. All of that happened. But now when that Vritti tried to make Brahma as Vishaya, what it realized there was, there is only Brahma, everything else is an appearance. Including this Vritti, so that Vritti also quietens down. It realizes its incapability to illumine Brahma. But that we will not be able to appreciate until the first step is done properly. Where mind is quietened, all other bothering thoughts are quietened, and what is left is only Brahmakara Vritti. With that Vritti, shifting attention to Brahma and realizing that I don't even need this Vritti. By the way, it's not a conscious dissolution. Person doesn't have to think about, okay, now Brahmakara Vritti has done its job, now you can go away. Not in that way. Brahmakara Vritti's role is to shift attention to Brahma. Having shifted attention there, paying attention to the Swarupa of Brahma, all other Vrittis, including Brahmakara Vritti, dissolves. And greater is the Tanmayata. Tanmayata means absorption in this process of Dhyanam. That is called as Savikalpa Samadhi, leading one to Nirvikalpa Samadhi. In Savikalpa, the Vritti is there, meditator is there, meditated is there. Dhyata, Dhyana, and Dhyeya. Dhyata, Dhyana, Dhyeya, three things are there. But in Nirvikalpa Samadhi, Dhyata and Dhyana dissolves. What remains is only Dhyeya. That Dhyeya I am. In this way, when a person does repeated practice of establishing this fact that I have an existence devoid of body, devoid of mind, That repeated practice gives him nishtha. That repeated practice gives him abidance that I am this truth, untouched by any of these conditionings. Just like other samskaras keep coming back, keep triggering back, like that, this samskara also keeps coming back during his vyavahara. Brahma Vidya is not samskara janya. It is not because I repeat certain number of times, I am Brahman, I will become Brahman. Not in that way. What was his problem before? He said, in spite of knowing I am Brahman, when I am in the world, I forget this fact. Not that I don't know how I am consciousness. I know how I am Chaitanya, how my essential nature is Brahma. But when world comes about, I start feeling I'm a jiva. It's an inexplicable problem of a sadhaka. So there the antidote is given. This Brahmakara Vritti has to be repeated. There are two schools of thoughts, but let us take this school of thought which says Brahmakara Vritti has to be repeated, not mechanically. Artha Avritti has to happen so that it will remove whatever was our problem before. Don't say Viparit Bhavana, it will remove. Viparit Bhavana is my problem. So it should remove my problem. That is the best solution. So that is the role of Brahmakara Vritti. In whom will Brahmakara Vritti rise? In the one who has beautified the mind, one who has lived a very good transactional life. That is the bridge between Karma Yoga and Jnana. Karma Marga, Karma Yoga Marga and Jnana Marga. This Vritti, otherwise it will not even arise. If mind is having Raga Dvesha, to think that I am Brahma, to think that I am origin of creation, it will not even allow this Vritti to arise. If let us say, due to some Punya Karma, this Vritti comes, it will not take root. That Vritti, Akhandakara Vritti, it will not take root if other thoughts are powerful enough to put this thought down. So what we are trying to do here is make this Brahmakara Vritti stronger than all other thoughts. And there is not, one should not struggle too much also. Struggle is only to quieten the mind. In that we'll have to struggle. We'll have to have conversation with the mind and keep repeating this Brahmakara Vritti, pull it back wherever it goes. This we were seeing in 6th chapter, Bhagavad Gita. If mind goes in erroneous things, one of the best sadhana is just to keep watching that mind. And at some point, we should embarrass the mind, where it is going and where it should be going. So many saints have written compositions just talking to their mind. Samartha Ramdas has written one whole composition, Manache Shlok. And you will notice one interesting thing there. If mind has become mellow, mind has become devoted, direct injunction to the mind is sufficient for that mind to listen. In those compositions, what you will find is they are not giving too much of logic. They are just telling this mind what to do. It's like an obedient child, you know. You just have to tell once, that child will do. But little bit stubborn, then you have to give so many carrots. You have to give chocolate, you have to give this and that. So our mind is like that. Self-effort is needed in pulling the mind back. Once that happens, allow Brahmakara Vritti to work. We should not get anxious. Okay, now I'm shifting to Brahma. Or again, I shifted back. We don't have to get that anxiety of how this shift is happening. sincerely trying to quieten the mind and allowing Brahmakara Vritti to work. On Mahatma Ji, he gives an example. If a farmer has to bring water to his field, he has to dig a channel. There is one part where he has to start digging from the river and bring it all the way to his field. But after he has dug sufficiently, he doesn't have to dig the last part. The water which is there, it will come and it will just take away that last part also and connect to his field. At that time, what does he have to do? Just stay there, keep watching. So he gives this example for Brahmakara Vritti. Initial digging from that river to the field is mind quietening down, trying to understand what Brahma is. But what will be called as Paravidya, when that Brahmakara Vritti helps me shift attention to Brahma and away from this world. Exclusively shift attention to Brahma. Without making it as a Vishaya. Brahmakara Vritti making Brahma as Vishaya means Brahma Abhimukhi Bhutva. Mind turning attention towards Brahma, just recognizing its presence. That I don't have to illumine Brahma. It is Brahma illumining all of us, all vrittis. How to create that Brahmakara Vritti was mentioned in 6th verse. Mundakopanishad, 6th verse. 12 indicators are given of invoking this Brahmakara Vritti. What are the 12? Just the literal translation. Adreshyam. Adreshyam means that which doesn't become object of sense organs. Organ of perception doesn't become an Vishaya. Agrahyam doesn't become a Vishaya of organ of action. Karmendriya, it doesn't become Vishaya. Agotram, that which doesn't have another cause. That which doesn't have another origin, that is Agotram. Avarnam. Avarnam means doesn't have any attributes. And whenever I'm thinking about these things, if I'm sitting down for meditation, don't take all indicators. That is another thought process that can be chaotic. Just take one or two. Even one is sufficient for 1 hour meditation, half an hour meditation. One indicator is sufficient. Avarnam means without attributes. Then achakshushrotam. Achakshushrotam means it doesn't have any organs. Doesn't have organs of perception. Jnanendriyas, it doesn't have. If it doesn't have Jnanendriya, what is the implied meaning of it? It is abhokta. For bhoga, I need organ of perception. If there are no organs of perception, then that consciousness is abhokta. Tadapani padam doesn't have hands and legs, means it doesn't have karmendriyas. If it doesn't have karmendriyas, then it is akarta. Now you see in our vyavahara, these thoughts will not even rise. Because first thing that vyavahara demands is doership. Whichever vyavahara it is, dharmic vyavahara, adharmic vyavahara, in all kinds of vyavahara, what is demanded is doership. Does Karma Yoga demand doership or not? How many of you say yes? Some of you are not confident. Karma Yoga demands doership. See, this clarity if you don't have, you will always mix up karma and jnana. Karma Yoga demands doership. It's a beautiful doership. The one who is not attached to the work, one who is not claiming recognition, one who is not possessive about work. That kind of doer, Bhagavan calls him as Satwik Karta. 17th and 18th chapter, wherever the word Satwik Karta comes, it is not for jnani. Jnani can express a Satwik Karta, or he will express a Satwik Karta. But doership, or this notion that I am the doer, is there even in Karma Yoga. But the beauty is it's offered to the Lord in such a way that doership is transformed into being an instrument. When a person lives life like that, they will be able to appreciate this. That I am not a doer, that thought will take place in adhikari. That adhikara is gained through karma yoga. That's why when Arjuna asks Bhagwan Krishna, Bhagwan, you are telling me that moksha is through knowing that you are non-doer, knowing your own true self devoid of kartrutva and bhoktrutva. Why are you asking me to engage in this war? What is Bhagwan's answer? He says, through this duty, if I perform it through karma yoga, I will get the ability to appreciate jnana yoga. Appreciate means to own up whatever is being said as my lakshana. So there is a difference between karma yoga and jnanam. See, whenever the point of jnana karma samuchaya comes, Shankaracharya writes elaborate bhashya just on those points. That is to just help us appreciate the right perspective. Erroneous perspective never does us good. Whether we like it or not, some perspectives we might not appreciate. If it is erroneous, it doesn't matter. It will never do us good. So we have to get the right perspective, then try to live our life in the light of those perspectives. So there is only one way by which kartrutva is removed, that is by knowing Swarupa as consciousness. That same consciousness is Bhagwan's essential nature. If somebody says by knowing God, doership is removed. This was the Mangalacharanam Swadharsanam. Mrutyunjayam mrutyubhyashritanam. Aham matihi mrutyumupaiti purvam. What did Ramana Maharshi say? If we surrender to Lord Shiva, how does His grace express? He devours our ahankara. Devouring ahankara means what? Devouring doership. Devouring ahankara means eating up our enjoyership. Those are the two ways in which ahankara expresses, doership and enjoyership. So surrender to Bhagwan in my transactional life will be as karana. That I am the instrument, you are the doer. But he says, I don't like my devotees being ignorant. I don't like them being ignorant. What he does is he removes avidya. And what is the form of that avidya? Of this nature that I am doer, I am an experiencer. That is this word, tadapani padam. Nityam means eternal, that which never perishes even when creation dissolves. Vibhum meant that which expresses as many. Now just imagine you are holding on to this one indicator of Brahma in your meditation. What is consciousness? Consciousness is that which is appearing as many. Whatever is appearing in this universe is nothing but my own Swarupa, my own Vivarta, just holding on to one thought. Nityam Vibhum Sarvagatam. Sarvagatam means it pervades all, just like water pervades all the waves. It is a substratum in which all appear. Sarvagatam Susukshmam, subtler than space. That is the meaning of Susukshmam. There is no Sthula Prapancha in Chaitanya. This is also a powerful indicator, huh? Because our mind is so conditioned to think about grosser things. that we take Stula Prapancha to be absolute and try to search for consciousness in Stula Prapancha. Whereas here, the indicator of Brahma is, it is that entity where there is absence of Stula Prapancha. So that is the Brahmakara Vritti he is holding on to at the seat of meditation. What to do in meditation? See, all pointers are given here. We don't have to do any other action. Deep breathing is not meditation. Scanning the body is not meditation. Those are preparations for meditation. What should I do in meditation? Entertain these thoughts. If I have doubts, go back and think what that indicator is indicating to. Tadavyayam means that which doesn't modify or change. And yad bhuta yonim. That Akshara is origin of this whole universe, origin of this creation. That truth I am, paripashyanti dhiraha. The one who is able to see the truth in this way, that person is a dhira purusha. Okay, we saw it technically also. He sees it through vritti vyapti, not through phala vyapti. To know Brahma, I need a vritti, so that it shifts attention away from world and indicates me to that Brahma through negation only. See, all these indicators, in a way, they are negating something. So it shifts attention to Brahma. And having shifted attention there, I don't have to say, I know Brahma. Because Brahma is Swayam Prakasha. It is because of Brahma, this vritti is able to know. In that way, he understands. Okay. The examples given in Vedanta Sara for this Brahmakara Vritti. If ignorance is gone, effects are gone. So the example given there is, if the thread is burnt, cloth is also burnt. So what is the thread over there? Thread is ignorance, avidya. If avidya is removed, then all vrittis which are product of avidya, they are also understood as mithya, including Brahmakara Vritti. That is where that example comes. Even this vritti is not needed. But remember, this is a later step. First step is to bring the vritti, then to strengthen the vritti, then actually shift attention, then allow whatever has to happen. Like that farmer watching the water, let it do its work. This is assuming that we are all inspired to meditate and we are finding time on our own to do this practice. That is one thing in Sanatan Dharma. They will not enforce anything. It can sometimes not be so good for a student because we don't know what is important. So many things they have said. You have to do puja also, you have to do japa also, you have to do dhyana also, you have to do karma yoga also, you have to do shravanam also, you have to do mananam also, nididhyasanam also. And no practice was said which one you must do. Which of these practices you have to definitely do. Fortunately, Bhagavan Krishna said it. In whole Bhagavad Gita, one practice he has said one should definitely do. He says that is dhyanam. Sanishchayena yoktavyaha. Yogaha anirvinna chetasa. Arjuna, please make sure that in the midst of all your busyness, whenever you get time, find time and do this dhyana abhyasa. With lot of patience. Don't worry if you are unable to quieten your mind. So it's a long journey, but we have to start this practice. Otherwise, what we will feel, that whatever we are studying, it is some intellectual knowledge. Many people feel like that. Nididhyasanam is the antidote for that. Because what we are studying, we have to see it. Brahmakara Vritti should actually help us shift attention away from world and see what they are wanting us to see. It will not be seen through any other means. First through Shravanam, then reflect upon it, and actually sit down and think about it. Nididhyasana means what? Repeating the same thing which I have heard in Shravanam. Brahmakara Vritti I have heard how it works. Now I have to allow it to work. Now the last indicator which was there, Yad Bhuta Yonim. Yad Bhuta Yonim. About that, there is one Poorva Pakshi. Yad Bhuta Yonim means Akshara Tattwa is that which is the origin of this whole universe. Now this Poorva Pakshi says, I don't agree. I don't agree. Akshara is the origin of this whole universe. He has his own questions, own objections. But before we go there, we'll appreciate how this mantra is answering that Poorva Pakshi. We had seen when we did Praman Vichara that there are 5 avayavas, 5 ways in which logic is presented. We don't have to go into details. We'll just look at the names of them, refresher. If I have to make some point, I have to make some anumana, inference, something which I don't see with my eyes, I have to infer. Why are we discussing this? Because origin of creation cannot be seen through pratyaksha. Creation is there in front of us. How did it start? In that, I cannot do anuman. I cannot have pratyaksha. I have to do anuman. My eyes cannot tell me how did this creation start. It started several thousands of years ago, according to Puranas. So my sense organs today cannot tell me what was there at the origin of creation. So the only pramana I can use on top of Vedanta pramana or Upanishad pramana is Anumana pramana. I have to use inference to infer what is the origin of creation, where it must have started. Remember, inference is not our main pramana. Main pramana is Upanishad. Upanishads are saying Akshara Tattwa, consciousness is the origin of creation. Now I have to logically establish how this creation must have come about from this consciousness. Okay, so that's why this logic is being discussed. First one is called as Pratijna. Pratijna means you make a statement of what you want to infer. So the classical example is if there is some fire on the mountain, you are not seeing that fire. We see only the smoke coming up. So there we say, the mountain is on fire. This is my Pratijna. I want to infer that this mountain is on fire. I'm not seeing it, but that is my inference. So somebody asks you, how come you inferred this? Then I give a reason for it. Reason is called as hetu. Second one is reason. I say, because I'm seeing smoke, there has to be fire. Because I'm seeing smoke, there has to be fire. Okay, that is the second one called as hetu, reason. He wants to prove that mountain is on fire. There is fire on the mountain. The reason he is giving is because I'm seeing smoke. Now he says, so what if you are seeing smoke? Why does fire have to be there if you are seeing smoke? He says, I have seen the concomitance between fire and smoke in several other places. So you have to gather your data from several other places and give one example from that data that you have gathered. Okay, this is called as Drishtanta. So in my Drishtanta, I will say, I have gathered the data. Yatra, wherever there is smoke, in all those places, there has been fire. If smoke is there, fire has to be there. Other way around might not be true. If fire is there, not necessarily smoke has to be there. If smoke is there, there has to be fire. Where did you see it? He says, I saw it in kitchen. I saw it in the kitchen. Wherever there is smoke, there has to be fire. Okay, so this is Drishtanta. Now I have to apply that Drishtanta. I have to apply that example on the main point that I want to illustrate. Otherwise, what happens is sometimes we say, I want to say something, I want to prove something. I give another example and I move on. So the listener doesn't know, okay, how did you apply that example to your main point? So I have to connect it. That connection is called as Upanaya. Connection is called as Upanaya, where I say, just like whenever there is smoke, there is fire in the kitchen. On the mountain also I am seeing smoke, so there has to be fire on the mountain. That is called as Upanaya. With this, I can conclude that there is fire on the mountain or mountain is on fire. Quickly go and do something. Remove the trees around that area of fire so it doesn't spread out. I can take some actions based on that. Last conclusion is called as Nigamanam. Nigamanam. Only this much we need for this particular mantra. Just pay attention to the names. Pratijna, Drishtanta, Hetu, Upanaya, Nigamanam. Upanaya. All good, right? Okay. Sometimes you look at me in a confused way. I think we are not, on the same page. Upanaya and Nigamanam. Now, whenever you have to argue something, whenever you have to discuss something, you have to give all 5 things. You make a point, what you want to make, whatever you want to infer. You give a reason for it. You give an example for it. You apply that example on the main point, and you conclude what you have to conclude. But if you have to refute somebody else, if you can show there are different ways of refuting the other person, if you can show that his example, what he is quoting, is not 100% true, opposite of it is also seen. If you are able to show limitation with his example, the whole premise, what he is trying to portray, what he is trying to convey, that can be refuted. So if you are able to refute the example, all the other limbs can also be refuted. So this mantra, which is going to come next, is only showing the contrary example. If Poorva Pakshi says, the opponent says, Akshara cannot be origin of creation, consciousness cannot be the origin of creation, because I've never seen examples like this. Examples like what? That we'll discuss later. But this mantra will say, no, we also have an example like this, which you can apply to establish that Akshara is the origin of creation. Otherwise, we'll not understand how come by giving some simple examples, Upanishad is establishing from consciousness this universe has come about. They are giving those examples because all 5 avayavas are included there. Really speaking, Upanishad did not give logic also. They did not give examples because it is pramana. We cannot establish Jagat has come from Chaitanya, world has come from consciousness, using mere logic. You take Upanishad mantra as pramana. On top of that, we can use logic. But the way it is done is only Drishtanta is focused on. Only example is focused on. All other limbs, they have to be built on top of it. So the commentators and sub-commentators, they have built all the 5 avayavas. But we did not go into that detail. Our main thing is to appreciate how that example illustrates and what point it wants to communicate. That this creation has emerged from consciousness. But before we go into the examples, there is one technical concept we have to appreciate, because he will use that as his Poorva Paksha. Okay. whenever any creation has to come about, that creation needs some causes. Without a cause, an effect cannot come about. So in Vedanta, we say there are three causes which play a role in bringing about any effect. These are important words. It will stay with us whenever we think about creation. The first cause is called as Nimitta Karanam. Nimitta Karanam, that is the first cause. The English word for that is intelligent cause. Intelligent cause. Another name is efficient cause. Efficient cause. Another name, sentient cause. Sentient cause. These words you will use in different places, but predominantly you will find intelligent cause or efficient cause. First cause is called as Nimitta Karanam. Second cause is called as Upadana Karanam. Upadana Karanam, the English word is material cause. Material cause. And the third cause is called as Karana Karanam. Karana Karanam is called as the third cause, instrumental cause. Okay, instrumental cause. Now let's look at the definition of each one. What is Nimitta Karanam? Nimitta Karanam is that, first of all, it has to be sentient. Nimitta Karanam has to be sentient. That which gives shape to the creation. That which decides or plans the creation, whatever that creation, whatever that effect is, that entity is called as Nimitta Karanam. And generally, the Nimitta Karanam stays separate from the effect and shapes the effect. Nimitta Karanam stays separate from it and molds the effect. Simple example for this is if somebody is making a clay pot. To make the clay pot is the effect. What is the Nimitta Karanam there? Who is the sentient person shaping that pot? Potter. Sentient cause. Nimitta Karanam is the potter. Does he go along with the pot? Wherever pot goes, potter goes? No. He is staying separate from the pot and shaping the pot. Okay, that is Nimitta Karanam. Second one is Upadana Karanam. Material cause. Material cause is that which enters and sustains the effect. Material cause is that which will enter the effect and it will sustain the effect. Wherever the effect is, there the material cause will be. All these definitions are from a text called as Vichara Sagara. The Sanskrit definitions for Nimitta Karanam, Upadana Karanam. But we just have to appreciate the English meaning of it. What is material cause? That which enters the effect and sustains the effect. That is Upadana Karanam or material cause. So in the clay example, clay pot example, what will be material cause? The clay. Clay is going along with the pot and it is sustaining the pot. That is called as Upadana Karanam, material cause. Now what was the third one? Karana Karanam, instrumental cause. Instrumental cause is that which is helpful in bringing about the effect. The sentient cause needs some instruments to bring about that particular effect. So whatever instrument he needs, those instruments are called as Karana Karanam. What is wielded by Nimitta Karanam? What is wielded by the sentient cause? Those instruments are called as Karana Karanam. So in the case of potter, what is the Nimitta Karanam there? The wheel, the stick, whatever he uses to bring about that pot. Now I'll give some other examples. You have to tell me what is the nimitta karanam, upadhana karanam, karana karanam for that. Don't apply this only to pot. Huh? Any effect you take, it will have these three causes. Okay, let us take Rangoli for example. Rangoli is an effect. It is the creation. So who is the nimitta karanam for this? You can type, all of you. Somebody said me. Okay. Good. The maker, whoever is drawing the art, that is nimitta karanam. What is the material cause? Upadana karanam. Powder. The rangoli, because it is entering the effect, sustaining the effect. You remove that powder, there is nothing called as rangoli. If you remove the person, there is still some form called as rangoli. But if you remove the powder, there is nothing called as that effect. Okay, now important. What is karana karanam? What is the instrumental cause for rangoli? You can say the stencil or the hand used for drawing it. That is the instrument you are using. You take another example just to make it very, very clear. A roti, that is the effect. That is the creation which has come about. Okay. Who is the nimit? We should not analyze the type of creation. Okay. The point is, what is the cause of creation? Who is the nimitta karanam? The person. Don't say roti maker. Huh? Apply the definition. The nimitta karanam has to be sentient. That was the point I was trying to get at. Roti maker will be karana karanam. It is the instrument, not nimitta. Nimitta has to express sentiency. Okay, what is sentient? That which can feel emotions is sentient. So roti maker cannot feel emotions. He says that sentient cause cannot be that roti maker. It has to be that person. What is the upadana karanam, material cause? The dough. The dough is upadana karanam. Karana karanam is all the instruments, the belan which is used, the whatever other instruments we are using, all of that is karana karanam. Okay, these three things are clear, right? Nimitta karanam, upadana karanam, karana karanam. Now this Poorva Paksha says, you tell me one example. You tell me one example where nimitta karanam and upadana karanam, material cause and sentient cause. Nimitta karanam is sentient cause, upadana is material cause. Both are the same. This is just look at this creation and tell me something where nimitta karanam alone has become upadana karanam. He says, according to you in Advaita, there is only one Akshara Brahma. From that, if creation has to emerge, what is the material with which creation emerged? Nimitta karanam is okay in accepting. He says consciousness is sentient. So nimitta karanam, he says, it can be Chaitanya. But for upadanam, material, he says in your Advaita Vedanta Darshana, where will material come from? You don't have anything else other than Brahma. So that is his first objection. He says nimitta karana, upadana karanam cannot be the same. And second, he says, if there is only one Brahma, where is the karana coming from? What instrument is it using to bring about this creation? What is the karana karanam? What is the instrument that it is using to bring about this creation? If it doesn't have any instruments, just now you said tadapani padam, doesn't have any conditionings, no instrument. So without instruments, how can creation come about? Two things he is asking there. Then he asks, how can variety of creation come about from one cause? How can this creation, which is having so much of variety, how can it have one as the main cause? That is the second objection. First objection had two questions. What were the two questions? He said, Nimitta Karanam, Upadana Karanam cannot be the same. And his objection was, if you don't have Karana Karanam, if you don't have instrumental cause, creation cannot come about. Potter doesn't have wheel, potter doesn't have stick. How can he make the pot? Painter doesn't have brush. How can he make the painting? Like that, consciousness doesn't have instruments. How can it make creation? Second objection he raised was, there are too many varieties here. How can all of this variety have one cause as its origin? Third objection he raises, he says, whatever I am seeing as this world, that is inert. Whatever I am seeing as this world is inert, and you are saying consciousness is of the nature of consciousness. Akshara is of the nature of consciousness. How can inert world emerge from conscious entity? How can inert world emerge from sentient entity? That is his third objection. There is one place, I don't know which Upanishad it is, similar objection is raised. The Poorva Pakshi raises several objections to say how Jagat cannot emerge from consciousness. Shankaracharya says, you raised only 5, I can give you 5 more. 5 more reasons why Jagat cannot emerge from consciousness, because we want to say there is only consciousness, there is no Jagat. But remember, this is so that our thinking becomes aligned. Upanishad is not wanting to establish that there is Jagat. It is part of Adhyaropa. Where if we have doubts that Jagat has emerged from something else, then all those doubts should be removed. Jagat is rooted in Chaitanya. Wherever you see Jagat, there we should see Chaitanya. Now these 3 objections are answered by 3 examples. But as we saw, out of all the 5 limbs, only Drishtanta is refuted. Drishtanta is focused on. The other limbs are not elaborated. What is the main point that Siddhanti wants to establish? Jagat has emerged from Akshara. For now, that is his indicator. Bhuta Yonim is there, right? Akshara is the origin of creation. What is the point Poorva Pakshi wants to establish? Jagat has not emerged from consciousness. Is how can it emerge from consciousness? So now you see 7th mantra. Yathurnanabhisrujate grunhate cha. Yathurnanabhisrujate grunhate cha. Yatha pruthivyam oshadhayas sambhavanti. Yatha pruthivyam oshadhayas sambhavanti. Yatha satah purushat keshalomani. Yatha satah purushat keshalomani. Tatha aksharat sambhavati havishvam. Tatha aksharat sambhavati havishvam. Together, yathornanabhisrujate grunhate cha. Yatha pruthivyam oshadhayas sambhavanti. Yatha satah purushat keshalomani. Tatha aksharat sambhavati havishvam. Yatha urnanabhihi srujate grunhate cha. Just like the spider creates its web from its own self, like that, this creation has come about from Akshara. What is the point indicated with spider example? The material cause and the sentient cause for that web is the spider itself. That was his objection, that it's not possible to have material cause and sentient cause to be the same thing. He says, no, look at this example. Just like it is happening in the case of spider, the web is coming about from its own self, material is also itself, and the sentient cause is also itself. In the same way, from Akshara Tattva, universe emerges. What was the second objection he has raised under the first point? Doesn't have Karana Karan. To make the web, spider doesn't need any other instrument. Without any instrument, it's able to create that web. In the same way, Akshara creates this universe, or universe emerges from Akshara without need for any instrument. That is the first objection. We'll just see the literal meaning. Second example is Yatha Pruthivyam Oshadaya Sambhavanti. Just like from earth, different type of trees and plants are emerging, which have diversity as far as their nature is concerned. You will have one chili, same earth is there, but you might have one chili plant, you might have one sugarcane, you might have one lemon, one tamarind. Now, all of them are different effects, but coming about from the same earth. Like that, this universe, which has so much of diversity, earth is different from water, water is different from fire, fire is different from air. Like that, every element is different. So many things are different. But in spite of them being different, they have all emerged from same consciousness, same Akshara Tattva. So second point is being answered. How can variety of effects come from the same cause? Just like different trees and plants come from the same earth, like that this universe of variety, diversity emerges from consciousness. And last example was Yatha Satah Purushat Keshalomani. What was his third point? How can this world which is inert emerge from consciousness? It's just like the hair which is inert emerges from a living sentient person. If you cut hair, there is no pain. But if you scratch a person, there is pain. So how come these two effects are so different, but yet it is emerging from the previous cause? Just like the hair emerges from a living person, this inert world emerges from consciousness. Tata aksharat sambhavati iha vishwam. Don't remove this idea completely that this world must have come from something else. It is possible. Sambhavati. It is possible that this whole universe has emerged from consciousness. One thing we have to note here, whenever the Adhyaropa Prakranam is going on, right, we have to stay with Adhyaropa and make these ideas very well rooted in our thinking. At this point, we should not think much about there is no creation. It will come later. What is the main point here? I have to establish this fact for myself that whatever I am seeing in creation is an appearance of this consciousness. Has emerged from this consciousness. Consciousness alone has become this world. That is the main point we have to emphasize. Okay. We will see these points again in the next session along with Bhashya also. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.